Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you there.
Hey everyone, it is Saturday. It is noontime, and we are doing our Friday Night Live on Saturday afternoon. You can see I have Bob Ganley, our vice president, with me. And today I know you've always had these questions about the pension trustees and pension funding and investments and stuff like that. So we thought we would get together and try to answer some of those questions for all of you. There's been a lot of talk about how is this getting done or who does it and what's the process. And Bob has served with the police department's pension fund for a very long time, and he's very knowledgeable about this. And so I thought it would be best to say, hey, Bob, come talk to us. So welcome, Bob.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to be on a Friday Night Live on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon.
That's it. Well, back in the day, that would be normal if we had a few much cerveza the night before. So let's talk pensions. You used to serve on the pension board of the police pension fund.
I sat on the pension board as a representative of the Sergeants Benevolent Association for about close to 20 years.
Long time. So you have a lot of knowledge, and you're going to give us a little bit of an education.
I just hope I can remember all that knowledge, but let's try to figure it out.
I'm sure you will. So talk to us a little bit about how the trustees operate.
Well, why don't we talk about, I could talk about police, and let's start off with, everybody should know that there's 5 different pension funds within the city of New York, right?
And what are those 5?
Those 5 are the New York City Employees Retirement System, which is the largest by far. The largest is the Teachers Retirement System. That teachers and some of the people that are within the school Department of Ed. Second is NYCERS, which is the New York City Employees Retirement System. Those are other city employees, civilians in the NYPD, civilians in the fire, corrections officers, sanitation members. Then there's police, which is the uniformed members of the NYPD. Then there's the fire pension fund, and then the 5th is the Board of Educational Retirement System, which consists of their
most like
members are the teachers' aides and the pedagogues, things like that.
Right.
So each fund is autonomous. They all have their own set of trustees. The only duplicate trustees that may be on some of those boards, of course, would be from the city side, because there's 2 sides. There's the labor side and there's the management side, also known as the city side. So the mayor probably sits on all of them. The comptroller probably sits on all of them, and Department of Finance, and then there's others on each different board. So for the police department, it's the mayor sits on it. The police commissioner is the chair of it. Department of Finance and the Comptroller's Office. They represent management/city. On the union side, or the labor side, it's the PBA, the DEA, the SBA, the LBA, and the CEA. 6 votes on each side of the room. On the management side, each trustee, when I say the mayor sits there, the mayor doesn't come, the mayor has a rep. Controller has a representative, finance has a representative. So those 4 have a vote and a half each, equal 6 votes. On the union side, sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. Let me turn this off so it doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
PBA holds 4 votes. and the other unions hold a half a vote each, would equal 6 votes. And that's the makeup of the police pension fund. And we're talking about investments. They meet monthly, and they go over fund, and they go over if there's investment opportunities, if we're going to invest in certain whatever opportunity may be before the board. And you would if one side votes yes and one side votes no, the investment wouldn't go through. You need a simple majority.
How many total votes on the police side do you have total?
Each side has 6.
Oh, so you can have a tie.
You can have a tie. If you have the tie, that doesn't move.
Gotcha. So there's no tiebreaker. There's no like the chair can't break a
No,
tie.
there's the chair can't do it. There's no super vote on any of the 5 funds. There's no super vote. It's equally weighted. So there are many times. I know there are many times where, I can only speak to police because that's the only one I sat on.
Very good.
So ties.
What's the process on how these decisions are made? So they have monthly meetings. I know they probably put out an agenda on what they're going to discuss. And then how are decisions made? Is there a discussion period, a research period? How does that work?
Yeah. So if you want to know the process of how an investment comes in before the board, within the controller's office, there's a Bureau of Asset Management that has they have a chief investment officer and other professionals that are in the office. They would put out a request for a proposal for, let's say they wanted to do a real estate deal. They put in a request for proposal, all the criteria that these various funds or fund managers would have to meet. Then it would go before the CIO and his staff. They would look at it. They may make muster. It may not make muster. If it does make muster, then it would come before our consultants, meaning when I say our, I mean the fund's consultants, which each fund has consultants. They would review that. They would kick the tires on that. And then at some point, it would come before the board for a vote. But each time, trustees are invited to every step of this procedure.
And so in the choice of these funding investments, let's explain why there's a funding investment. So they have to invest the pension monies so that there's money to pay the pensions, correct? You want the pensions?
Well, listen, trustees have a responsibility they have fiduciary responsibilities. They have to make decisions for the beneficiaries of the fund. So of course we want to make money.
Right. So this is why when we're talking about investments, is that as the monies come into the pension system, they have to do something with them properly to increase the value of the system. And this is what we're talking about.
That's the job of the pension fund, right? And the trustees is to make money.
Yes,
to keep our pensions strong.
And how do they vote on these things? Is there a research period? You said you mentioned that there were.
Let's just go back to 1 minute.
Go ahead.
You got to remember, the combined total of the pension fund for the city of New York is probably north of $330 billion. That's a lot of billions.
Lots of billions. Yes, it is.
Lots of billions.
Yes. I'm sure investment managers get paid a real lot of money to help you with that.
So there's no one, like I said, super vote. It's equally weighted, and no one can come in really and say, "Oh, I want this deal done. Let's do it." Everybody would have to agree to it. All the trustees.
Very good. And that's how the voting is done. And you explained how the pension systems are different. So far,
like I said, on fire, the police commissioner's not going to sit on fire.
Right. Yeah, right? The fire commissioner.
Fire commissioner or the representative will sit on there, and so forth with the other funds.
Right. So does anyone have questions so far from what you've just heard? You can drop your questions in the chat.
I see Laura's asking a question.
What about our union bosses' pension funds? Wonder where they fit in. Union bosses. So some pension systems, so for example, they do get, some of the unions provide a second pension to their officers, is what she's referring to. We'll see that with UFT, and I think even DC 37 may even get a second pension. So
yeah, I could tell you that doesn't happen in the police world.
no.
I don't know what they do over at TRS or.
Good morning, Tom. Nice to see you. Tom Scotto's joining
Hey,
us.
Tom.
So with that, the pension, that when the union provides a pension for a union officer, that is completely separate from this. That doesn't have anything, Laura, to do with what the conversation we're having. That is literally the union providing its own pension investments for its officers. She says, Victoria Lee, a TRS trustee, just put out a video assuring UFT that the re-amortization proposal has our back. Ugh.
Well, I guess that's what their board thought, that it was a smart decision to do. I don't think the police have done it. Again, I don't sit on the fund anymore, but.
So far to date, we know that BERS, BERS, and TRS have both supported it. I don't know anything else about the others, and I know NYCers meets on the 9th. So as we find out, we'll let you know. But we always kind of knew from the beginning that the teachers were always supportive of this. They were supportive of it last year, and when there was outrage flying around, they did remove it from the agenda, and of course came back and supported it again now, even though it does cost the city more money to do, as you've heard me a million times explain what that process is. So, yes, that is I saw the video that Victoria did, and that's been their standard line.
And they voted on it. So.
And the trustees voted on it, right?
And Long Beach, New York, 8237. Does the mayor have any input? The mayor himself does not himself sit on these boards. He has a representative from his office sit on the board. I'm sure they brief him before the meeting, or hopefully they do. But he doesn't have any more input than any other trustee.
Judith says, does the pension fund plan on going off fossil fuels? So I don't know if Bob would know if there's fossil fuel investments in the police fund, but I'll tell you, every pension fund has to determine their own investment strategy, and that would be one of those. If you Judith, I don't know what pension system you're in, but you can Google search like board of trustees to whatever pension system you want, and you should be able to find their website and also their agenda and when their meetings are. And Bob, is police pension trustees broadcast that people could watch them? Do you know?
I believe the public session is, but once they go into an executive session, it would not be.
And so I was on the NYCers Board of Trustees page this morning looking for when their next vote is. And absolutely, I would bet you then they're not going to publish, NYCers will not publish their agenda for 24 hours before the meeting. So you need to go up and take a look at that. So I cannot tell you who's doing that, who's not doing that. One of the things I'll tell you that we've always learned in our own investments was that we're always advised to never use your political ideology in investments. And so it would be up to each board to determine if that's the same policy they're going to follow. So I really can't answer that question for you.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you have to put your political differences aside, because this is about you being a fiduciary in a fund, right? So you may disagree with it on a personal level, but if the investment makes sense, then you could vote for it unless all the trustees feel the same way, and then the investment wouldn't go through.
Right. And remember, the trustees have a responsibility to make the most money. So if your political ideology is in conflict with that type of investment, but that investment is lucrative, they may just end up voting to do that because it is what's bringing in money. Mayor of Bodybuilding TV, Police and Sergeant Union have publicly not supported looting the pension so far. From Larry, I vaguely remember TRS allowed UFT to borrow money from our pension years ago. One, did it really happen? And two, so Larry, I don't know what that's about.
I don't think that could happen. That TRS would say to the UFT, "Here's some money." That
I've never heard that before. If you're talking about back in the 70s, that wasn't borrowing money either. That was a deal to make that the pension fund invested in municipal bonds, but that I've never heard of borrowing money like that. Who chooses people on the pension board? Great question.
So the people that sit on the pension board, and again, I can speak to police, and each fund has their own rules. It's statutory. So if the union heads are all statutorily trustees, they can choose to have representatives sit for them, as can the other side. Like I mentioned earlier, the mayor, the police commissioner, comptroller, and finance department, they can have their representatives sit there also. I believe on the teachers board, there's an election, but I'm not privy to how that operates.
Right. And they actually just had that recently where they were re-electing one of their labor trustees. Long Beach asks, does the executive session need to be published online afterwards? Well, that's the private session, isn't it?
Yeah, the executive session, what they usually do is they'll do a wrap up after the executive session is over to say what was discussed and if investments were made. And that is part of the public session.
Tom Reynolds, the UFT is going to screw the pensions. Can we sue them to stop them? They're in breach of their fiduciary duty. I think they would see that differently, Tom, and then time would tell if those investments did come to fruition. So can you sue them? I honestly don't know if you can sue your trustees. Actually, I take that back. There's a possibility of a group of paraprofessionals working with a group of lawyers considering suing the teachers' retirement system over their failure to acknowledge soon enough that they had allegedly overpaid pensions for thousands of paraprofessional retirees on a disability retirement. And now, since those retirees are retired, some going back as far as I'm aware, 2010, wanting to claw back that amount of money. So they were paid a 2/3 accidental disability retirement. They were only supposedly entitled to a 1/3 pension. Not only are they reducing their pension by half, effective the July 2026 pension payment, they are also going to claw back what they were paid. Now, under typical fiduciary rules, the trustees could have clawed back, or the board could have clawed back, the pension fund clawed back all of that money. In the letters that we're seeing, they're only going back 3 years. So they're still looking to see if they can sue the trustees. Now, that is a fiduciary issue that they can sue them over. The one that you're speaking of, you'd actually have to show a harm, and that hasn't been realized yet. So there might be a little bit of delay before you can do that. Can the pensions be audited by Tom DiNapoli? Who audits the pensions? Is there an audit of the pension?
They have the actuary would look at things, the controller's office would look at it, but Tom DiNapoli is the state controller. He doesn't have any control over the New York City pension funds. In fact, in the New York State system, which DiNapoli is the controller of, he's the sole trustee of that fund. So he determines all their investment policy. with
Oh,
the,
so they don't.
with the staff.
So they don't have a trustee system like we do
To
in the
my
city.
knowledge, when I was doing these things, he was the sole trustee.
That's interesting. Ellen says the city's audit committee has repeatedly suggested that all the pension plans merge their IT systems, especially given TRS's prior IT failures, including a failure to timely update their pension system, update their system. Yeah, you had told me before that they had a very outdated computer system, which was probably contributing to some of their mistakes. Dora King, I belong to NYCers, have been on a pension since 2012. Can my monthly payments be reduced by any of these changes?
The only way your pension would be reduced is if they overpaid you right now. Then they would reduce it. But as far as investment policies and where they're going, that wouldn't really affect it. It
Right.
would not affect it.
And remember as well, we've talked about this before, your pension is protected under the state constitution. And as long as that does not get changed, then that what you retired with is what the state and city have to pay. That doesn't mean that they, as we've always said, will not try to get more money from you somehow, like raising taxes or increasing copays or increasing healthcare premiums or whatever. But your pension dollar will always be paid as to the amount that you were promised and guaranteed when you retired. So John Manning says maybe as much as 35% of the investments are in alternative investments, private equity where we don't know where the money's going, hedge funds, etc. If these things crap out, there will be enormous problem. Are the consultants conflicted? Are they simply milking the system for big money, make the actual assumption 6.5 to 8.5 safely with tolerable volatility is an easy thing to do?
That may be accurate, but that's why the actuary has a say in these things. I mean, to say that you think the pension fund is going to make 8.5%, I think, at this day and age, the market is volatile, like you said. Probably not a prudent move to make, but the trustees and the actuary would make that decision as a board.
And you and I had discussed with the controller a couple of weeks ago that they have asset managers, and if the controller feels that the asset manager isn't doing their job, then they kind of pressure that asset manager to do what they think is the right thing to do, or they try to squeeze them out. Was that an accurate assessment?
Well, if the manager isn't doing his job and isn't making money, of course he's going to be called in. He's going to have to explain why he isn't making money, and then he either loses that money that he has. Don't forget, we're not talking about hundreds or thousands or 10,000s of dollars when these managers come in. Again, the pension fund is north of 330 billion. So they're talking millions.
Yes.
They're going to make it work. They don't want to lose New York as a client.
They do not. Do the pension follow the New York State open government? Yes. UFT only actives vote retire. Yes. And I always, this is one of the debates we were having a couple of weeks ago, is there should be a retiree representative on these pension boards, but I'm sure people will disagree with me on that. Thoughts on New York City going bankrupt in 10 years? I don't think New York City will go bankrupt.
See me in year 9. We'll have a better idea, but I don't think so.
Okay. Do the pensions need to post their agenda 3 days before the meeting, and where can we find the Now, this question depends upon which pension system you're in, because I'm sure they all have different rules. So I'm suggesting, again, depending which pension system you're in, go to their website. You should find a page where their trustees are, their agendas are, some of their past meetings. So like if you're TRS or NYCers, you can go up and go look at their past meetings. They'll have their minutes and even the videos linked. You can go back and watch them. This is how we learned how TRS was handling this with Tom Brown and Victoria and the rest of the board last year, as we were watching them actually discuss this. And then after all the hullabaloo came about where the retirees were fighting with the state to not do this last year when they were trying to sneak it into the budget, all of a sudden, Tom Brown said, well, let's just table this off the agenda, and it disappeared. And then, of course, this year it came back. Last year, you had Henry Garrido, who's on the board of DC 37. Of DC 37, he's on the board of the NYCers trustees. He had said that this was a dangerous bill that was in Albany. And then this year, I'm waiting to see his official position, because if it flip-flops, which I'm hearing it's supposed to, what made it dangerous last year and not so dangerous this year? Ellen says the plans have their own auditors. Long Beach, who oversees the pension at the state level? I think Bob answered that. That was the comptroller. Let's see. What is going to happen to all of us who were fired in 2021 for not following the unlawful COVID mandates, who were forced to leave and didn't fill our pensions to our full potential? We were denied due process from our unions. We suffered so badly, no justice. Any suggestion? That's a really good question. If you're not vested and your monies are in your pension fund, held still by whatever pension fund you were in, and you are no longer an employee of the city, and you don't plan on coming back, or you can't come back, and you can't return or don't return to municipal service even with the state, because if you did, you could roll over your pension in the city to the state. I did something similar. I rolled my state pension into my city pension. But I think in this situation, if you're not vested, you will have that money sitting in an account at whatever respective pension system, and you can roll that money out into another investment vehicle. My suggestion to you is, in doing that, is you use some sort of a financial planner, because if you do take that money out and you do use it, it will convert to taxable income, and you will boost your taxable income by the end of the year. So please consult with someone before doing that. And when I say a someone, I mean like an investment planner or an accountant.
And if you feel if you were harmed, you could speak to an attorney and see if you look at your case, see if you have any cause of action. There are people that we both know that have actions against the city for that exact reason.
Yeah, there's actually a group, a very large group. I'm missing the name right now, but Michael Caine runs a group that has, I think it's Teachers for Choice. There's Firefighters for Choice. There's a Police for Choice. There's a whole group of workers that are in this situation that you describe. My suggestion is you try to connect with them, because I believe they still have active litigation and they're trying to get a bill passed to come back. Sheila Zukowski says, thought I heard union presidents sit on the pension board. Is that true for TRS? There are 2 unions on it. You would have to look at your TRS pension board. The trustees are on the website. It would list who the trustees are. On the police pension board, as Bob had mentioned, the presidents do have a seat on each of those boards for those respective unions: sergeants, PBA, lieutenants, captains.
Yeah, but they could also have they can designate a representative to sit there for them.
Correct.
But yes, statutorily, the president does hold that seat.
So you'd have to, Sheila, go and look at the TRS to see who those seats are, who holds that seat. Just know that, like Bob said, if it says mayor, it doesn't, the mayor's office has that seat, and he will not be sitting in it, but he has a designee that goes to these meetings.
When I was there, the mayor's office had an office of pension and investments. So that person would sit on it.
Okay, let's see. John Adams, in the case of New York City's delayed pension contributions, are they required to make up for any loss in the pension fund's future value or investment growth caused by the delay? So I think you're talking about the re-amortization, and I don't think that has any pension. Are they required? So it's not really a pension loss. If you're talking about the UAL, this was advanced funding, or actually funding unfunded accrued liabilities. These are like pension monies that they were trying to pay off from like 2012. And so they were trying to get the pension fully funded and paying off all of those things by 2032. It's not that there's a law.
Don't forget, for current retirees.
So this is trying to fund that, and it was supposed to be fully funded 100% by 2032. The pension today is still currently funded about 85%, better than most around the country, yes, but
the average is about 75%, the national
Right.
average.
So it's not that there's a loss, it's just a delayed in funding. And I think with the fiduciary responsibility that the controller has, as well as all the pension fund trustees, that if they're showing that them putting in less money is causing some sort of an issue, which I'm not thinking it's going to, then they're not going to move off of it. But if they do see a problem and the market tanks or there's an issue, you see lately Mark Levine has been saying that they have to build up the city reserves. And another question should be, I'm glad he wants to build the rainy day fund up, but is he also going to work on building the retiree health benefit trust? And when he and I spoke a couple months ago, he said that that was one of his objectives. So I want to say, especially Mark running a credit union, I do believe that he would probably be fiscally responsible, but we just need to wait and see. We are still working to try to get him to come and talk to you and answer whatever questions you guys have. So just hang out. Have faith. He'll come eventually. What's happening with the paraprofessionals is disgraceful. Yes, it is. Camille says she's in the New York City pension system. So Camille is library. I did not know that, Camille. So I'm definitely interested in talking to you more about that, because in some of the titles we're learning, like in yours, you are a New York City retiree. You are, I believe, a DC 37 retiree. You don't get Medicare B reimbursement, and you're in the state pension system. She's a unicorn.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that work for the TA in the same
situation. Yeah. So the transit workers, we actually you were working with one of our retirees last week who is in a very similar situation. Camille was the first one to tell me that she doesn't get a Medicare B premium reimbursement. I found very disturbing. I'm not happy that DC 37 has not worked to try to change that inequity. But that's, again, why you have an organization like this. Is I know you're going to cringe when I say this, Bob. Once our battles are over, maybe we should take that one up too.
Not taking on any more battles.
Marianne has made an important point that if things go economically south, the MLC city may have us pay for our own pensions through copays, deductibles, other measures. Yeah, because your pension is guaranteed. We've always said that. But that means that they have to pay that amount of money, and they're going to find it, but they're going to rob Peter to pay Paul to do it. And they will. And this is why we kept saying we didn't like this idea, because if the market did go south, or if Washington started another war, or gas prices bump up from $5 to $7, people might freak out, and then the city is going to need more money. So that's going to happen. The TRS gets 7.25% as the fixed interest rate, I believe. Yes, and that was reduced in negotiations under the leadership of Randy Weingarten as a direct result, if you recall, and I want to say it was the 05 contract.
Yeah, but that's not the pension fund. Don't forget, that's not the pension fund.
Right. So completely different. That's your TDA. Well, and actually, I think I know what they're asking. So there's a video with Victoria Lee from last year saying that the reason why they wanted to do the re-amortization is because they get a 7.25% interest rate into the pension system. This isn't the TDA question. In her video, I'll have to send this to you, Bob. You have to listen to this. In the video, it literally states that they wanted to extend do the re-amortization to extend the time to pay up the pension by another, whatever it was, 5 years, 7 years. Because if they did that, and literally she says this, that each year it would be the system putting another 7.25% or 7%, she says, into the fund on an annual basis. And they wanted to stretch that out. I'm going to send you that video. I know I remember hearing it, and I think that's what they're asking about. Might be wrong, but that's what I believe. Are there limits to investing in alternatives? Is that a decision that each individual board would make, right?
Yes. And then you can probably find all that information right on the controller's website.
Are the trustees paid for their services?
To my knowledge, they're not. It's part of their jobs.
That's what I thought too. Tommy says, every time the actuary recommends an increase in the assumption rate, it diminishes the city's payments into the funds. Yeah, because that's reducing what it says that the fund will make, right?
Correct.
I hope people are calling their trustees and unions to demand this re-amortization not take place. And honestly, the only way to do that, Laura, is find your pension fund, find your board of trustees, and reach out to those offices. And if it does say like this borough president, call that borough president's office. If it says, this whatever elected official, the mayor's, you need to make those phone calls to 311 or the controller's office or the actor, whoever it lists, you've got to contact those people.
But if you're a member of TRS, it's too late.
TRS and BRRS, it's too late. They already decided. But that doesn't mean you can't call the others.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't call them and tell them you're disappointed in what they did.
That too. They have the same rules if they follow open government. Yes. Mark says, are there any professional money managers on the pension boards?
No.
Okay. Those would be your asset managers, right?
Well, I would think he's talking about people the people that manage the money
On the board.
They would come before the board to
Pitch.
talk about their proposed investment, but they don't sit in on the board and they don't get a vote on anything.
So that would be like your Bureau of Asset Manager type people.
Let's say BlackRock has an investment. The team from BlackRock would come in and make a presentation. Once they've gone through all the other steps that I spoke about earlier, now it's time to get before the board. They would come before the board. They make their presentation. They would leave. After they've answered questions from both sides of the table, they would leave then the meeting, and then the board would make a determination if they're going to pick up that investment and at what rate.
Okay, very good. Oops. Laura says, here's who's on the TRS trustee board. Tom Brown is the chair. He just got reelected. Teacher member Joe Borelli, that was very interesting to see. Teacher member Joe Borelli. It is Joe Borelli, who he was the minority leader of the city council, Republican member of Staten Island. That was interesting to see. I was surprised to see him in that meeting. Panel for Educational Policy member Gregory Faulkner, representing the panel for Educational Policy chair Victoria Lee. Teacher member Mark Levine, controller of City of New York, Christina McGrath, teacher member Amir Kadir, the mayor's appointee. Re-amortization of pensions has been an epic failure for cities and across the USA. And many of their pensions were also funded well less than ours, but that still doesn't mitigate the risk. It does not do anything to harm about that. There is still a risk in that, and I agree with you. We do get Part B reimbursement, but no IRMA. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the correction. You do get Medicare Part B, just no IRMA or spousal reimbursement. So it's still less than, and I believe you're not the only titles. I think CUNY might even be like that. We just got a letter that they will actually pay 100% of Part B up to $2,200. That's fantastic.
That's the Part B reimbursement. They're not going to give you more than 100%.
Well, I don't think they were getting the 100% before. Camille, you can correct me below if I'm incorrect on that statement, but I did not think you were getting the full 100% on that. I can't imagine how Henry Garrido getting appointed to COGE will protect us both with our pensions and health plans. So several of you have emailed us about COGE, and we have not really had the time to get all in that. What you might want to do is look and see what Coge's ability is. And I believe that what they want to do is put those referendums before the voters. You may not want to have some of this put before the voters, but Coge was Mayor Mamdani's answer to Doge on the federal level was to find a committee on governmental efficiencies. And yes, it is sad that they put Mr. Garrido from DC 37 in charge of that board or on that board, knowing some of the really poor decisions that he's made otherwise. But you do have an ability to speak out about that. If you go to their website, they do allow you to submit public written testimony, which I have done. You should do the same. Sheila says TDA for TRS is 7, not 7.25. It used to be 8.5. Yes, I was referring to what she was talking about, what Victoria was talking about in her video. The city's audit committee has discussed the OPEB for library systems and suggested that their employees should get the same as other agencies. Well, that was a really smart idea. Hi, Bob. Good.
Oh, good old Lenny Hershkovitz. Hope you're doing well, Lenny.
See, it's like a reunion on a Saturday morning. Why did they send out letters from 401k saying something about IRA? Kathy, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't know who sent that. TRS member portal. So there's John is saying trsnyc.org/member portal /about-us/our retirement board. They could have definitely chopped down a few words in there, but but there you go. Mayor's appointee. Look what just happened with rent freeze with 6 appointed members by the mayor. Is this in our future?
I think there were 7 members appointed by the mayor, right?
Camille, thank you. They were getting 80%. So she's finally up to 100. Thank you. That is a beautiful decision. Gee, someone made a smart decision somewhere, Camille. I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
How is the pension trustee appointed by the mayor?
The mayor says, I want you to be my representative at the pension boards. That's how it works.
Let's go to that meeting, Bob.
Not me. Maybe Tom would want to go again, but not me.
What happens if there isn't enough money once in a while? Do they borrow? Susie, I don't know what you're asking about in that regard. What if there isn't enough
maybe
money?
Talk about if the city didn't have, maybe if the pension fund didn't have enough money. That would be a little more.
Susie, if you could clarify, do you mean the pension fund not having enough money? Do they have to borrow, or the city not having? Clarify for me, please, my dear. Thanks to Ray Markey of the New York Public Library retired. Yes, I heard he was fighting to try to boost that up. That was a good thing. We were in trouble with trustees appointed by the mayor. Okay.
Again, remember the mayor has no super vote.
So that's looked like all of our questions so far. We did that in 45 minutes, Bob.
Very good for a Saturday morning. It's good.
Very good for a Saturday morning. Absolutely. If I don't see any more questions yet, I'll see if Susie is answering back. But let me go over and check on the Instagram page because our comments don't come in there, and there's no comments on Instagram. So let's see. Laura says, I'm guessing actuaries get paid. Yes, the city actuary, I believe he might even be elected.
No, the New York City actuary is not elected.
Is he appointed? And hope the no bid contracts isn't the MO for the UFT to get their way with the actuaries who love a bribe. He's a city worker as well. Yes, he does sit. I think it's Merkta. I forget his name. He does appear on the videos for TRS, so you can actually go and watch those, and he does speak. No super vote, but can appoint trustees. He
doesn't appoint multiple trustees. It's a trustee to the fund.
A trustee. So that's your little education today on pension funding. Hopefully that does clear up what some of your questions were on how this is done. we will be in the next week trying to finalize the document that, if you remember, all of us we had asked you to put together questions that were on a thread on our Facebook page to ask the controller. And so we had met with the controller a couple times already. Bob and I just met again with them, and for the second time, I think. And we have an open communication, which I respect and appreciate, and I think Bob does as well, because they answered our questions. They took their time. They answered your questions. And it was really important that they did that. So we're going to put in an email to you the questions you asked and the answer that we got, and then hopefully that will help you there too. Tom says the city actuary is paid 50-50 by unions and the city, so she is a neutral. That's interesting, Tom. I did not know that. Tom is also a wealth of information, as he used to be the president of the detectives, right?
Yes.
The
Detectives
Detectives
Endowment
Endowment.
Association was a sitting trustee for many years.
Yeah.
Many
years. Yes. So that's all we have today. Bob, is there anything we should add to our conversation before we
Nothing
close
I can
out?
think of right now. Stuff are coming in on my text. That's why I'm looking at it.
That's okay. I get that all the time, because as I'm doing this, people will text me and ask me a question or say something. So Mayor of Bodybuilding TV, thanks, Mary, and I joined the retiree organization. Will donate as well. Thank you, and you're welcome. Thank you for all you do. You're welcome, Dora. Is this group planning on trying to help paraprofessionals with a current oil deal? So Nicole Donnelly, we posted a link yesterday, and let me see if I can very quickly find it. I cannot do that on my own. So what we are doing is, where did that go? Is that here? Nope. Give me 1 second. Let me just refresh my screen, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in my, I have a million. If you ever saw my desktop, you'd probably get scared, because there's like a million tabs open, but it's my crazy organization. Okay. Forms. And I want to go to, oops. So what we did was we spoke with some pension attorneys, and we asked them to look into whether there was a path to litigation. And they are right now reviewing that. If you see, I'm dropping a link in the chat right now. That went through there. Let me drop it in Instagram in case there's paraprofessionals in Instagram. And so what they're asking you do is that if you are one of these affected titles by what's happening, that you fill out this form, and it goes directly to the attorneys. They want to know when you retired, what was your ODA, your date of hire, when was your pension approved? Did you get a phone call or an official letter? Because those official letters are coming out that this is going to happen. And that is starting with the July check. So the attorneys, while they're still investigating this, researching this, they want to know, is this impacting you? And so they're creating a list of clients, and then you're going to give them potential clients, and you'll give them permission to reach out to you. Once they have this path to litigation, we're helping coordinate by sharing them that information. Both of these attorneys have been attorneys for years. Jeff Goldberg is a pension attorney for almost 50 years. He's been doing pensions for a very long time. I actually used to work with him, but Bob and I are very focused on what we're doing here with the last two litigations and the legislation in the city council. So while that is not our primary focus, we're coordinating just by sharing information with you. So don't worry, we are keeping our eye on it, but it's basically to coordinate with the attorney that can possibly help all of you. So thanks for asking that question, Nicole. I'm voting for Tom. I'm thinking you mean Tom Scotto. I'm voting for Bob. I guess someone wants you guys to work.
Listen, as I always tell you, we're the highest unpaid consultants around.
Yes, we are. Federal bankruptcy judge can reduce bankrupt government entity. Thanks, Paul. I'm not quite sure what that refers to, but A law firm is helping the parish. Yes, thank you, Ellen. Oops. Thank you, Marianne. See you tomorrow on Zoom. Fix retiree benefits. You're welcome, Judith. Nice to meet you, Bob. You'll see Bob again probably next week.
Probably not, but
That's us. Anne Marie, this is so sad. We should be leading the way for our country, not protecting ourselves from New York City. Yes, I hear you. Oh, for example, Detroit. Yes, now I understand what you're saying. They had a very horrible pension situation. Maybe someday talk about city deferred comp and how Voya works with the program and how the special rollover account works with pension funds. Hey, Bob.
this is the Roberta Gonzalez that we are sending mail to, and it comes back, and she lives in Rockaway. Email me, please, so we can talk. But deferred comp and Voya and your special rollover accounts have nothing to do with the pension fund.
So it's a separate topic. Could you talk about that as a separate?
You can go on, you can actually, if you go onto the New York City website and go to the deferred comp website, they have many webinars that are really helpful on rollovers and withdrawal, then how to take RMDs. They're only about an hour long. They're really informative.
Yeah. And Roberta, if you didn't hear Bob, if you live in the Rockaways and your email, I guess.
Well, at one time lived in the Rockaways.
One time lived in her email is bouncing back.
Yeah, we're getting all sorts of stuff, but she's a contributor, so I would like to be able to send her.
So Roberta, our website is floating up at top. You'll see it like scrolling up there. If you could email the org, yeah. It's going the other direction, actually.
Not when I'm looking at
it. So Roberta, email the org at retirees@nycretirees.org and email Bob, and he'll correct whatever is bouncing back, your email or your mail. I'm not quite sure. Ellen says Paul is correct. Yes, I'm aware he's accurate on this point. Where can I find pension law? So it depends what pension law you're looking at. You'll find it in the administrative code, and you'll also find it in the retirement and social security law known as the RSSL. For example, Detroit, even with a state constitution provision that public pensions cannot be reduced. Paul, there is a whole history on this, specifically on this. One was state and one was local. I'll see if I can pull up the documents. I actually wrote about this some time ago, so it's not fresh in my memory, but you're correct on this. She says, no, I'm in Brooklyn. Were you ever in the Rockaways? You can use deferred comp while active to buy back pension time. Good point, Ellen. Stop your COPE. And then join our COPE. Yes, thank you. If re-amortization happens, how long after will pensions be impacted? So Mayor of Bodybuilding, I do actually have to go back and look and see how many years they were pushing it up. I want to say it was 4, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, or maybe 5. I have to go back. I honestly don't remember the date, but pensions won't be impacted by that. It's just like refinancing your mortgage or a loan. It's just stretching out the payments. And so you know what that does. If you haven't followed us before, when you re-amortize something, it's like refinancing. So it reduces what you're paying out today. It extends those payments out several more years. And I want to say this was between 4 and 5 years. I don't think it was much longer than that. But of course, by doing that, you are increasing the costs that you're paying over time, like you would if you refinanced your mortgage. That still will not impact your pension unless the total market tanks. My email says optimum, and I get email updates, never in the Rockaways. So we've got another Roberta Gonzalez. Sorry,
looking
Bob.
it up now.
Sorry, Bob. Not the same lady. And yes, re-amortization has been happening many times. It does happen quite often in various pension systems, but there's usually a reason why. If you remember Justin Brannon and the previous comptroller talking last March, actually, in the city council testimony, the reason is because they were against it is because they felt that the city was not in such a horrible financial situation to warrant doing it because of the increased cost, and that they wanted to make sure that the pensions were properly funded. Fiscal responsibility also goes with making sure that your rainy day funds, your retiree health benefit trusts have ample cash in. Remember, like your mom always used to say, like, prepare for that rainy day. Make sure that you have at least like 6 months worth of savings available to you in case you lost your job or something bad happened. The same thing has to be here. But if municipalities or leaders keep taking money out of those savings accounts, then you don't have that backup when you need it. And that's why this was important. 1096 for retirees. We're still hoping, I think maybe you guys this coming week might want to start calling the council member to ask where it's going, because I haven't heard anything. Tommy, it just adds to the unfounded liability. Yep, it does. It creates more debt by stretching it out, right? And that's exactly what it did. I think the number they reported was like it added another couple of $1 billion over the term. How is Julie Menon? I don't know. You'll have to ask Julie. I think that's it. Let me check one more time over on Instagram. I've got nothing over there. All right, guys. So that's your morning wrap up. Thank you for bearing with us. And then you'll be getting an email from us as well about our annual meeting. And I will this week, it'll probably not be until towards the end of the week, get all of those questions that you asked us to give to the comptroller, get you those answers as well. I will post those back onto Facebook. So, Bob, any closing words?
No, just thank everybody for being part of this, and let's keep praying. As Long Beach 8237 said, 1096 for all retirees, from his lips to God's ears. Let's hope.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. Thanks, Bob, for joining us, and we will.
That's right. I had nothing better to do on a Saturday afternoon
than hang out with a bunch of retirees, and they still vote for you. Vote for Bob.
Thank you.
All right, guys. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Hang on, Bob. I'm going to put
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for Marianne. We'll talk soon.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hold on.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision is